The Chicago Bears take on the Minnesota Vikings in Week 5 of the NFL season. Can the Bears bounce back and get a win in Minnesota? Watch this video to find out. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears prediction video, which I'll be doing for every single Bears game this year. So if you guys want my thoughts, my predictions of what's going to happen before each Bears game this year, definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel. And today I'll be talking about, obviously, the matchup coming up this Sunday between our Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, our first game against the Vikings this season. It's going to be in Minnesota. The Vikings are favored to win this game by 7 points, and I can understand why. Okay, the Bears are 2-2, the Vikings are 3-1, so technically there's only a 1-game difference between these two teams, but on paper the talent difference is pretty substantial. Okay, the Vikings are clearly going for the division while the Bears are rebuilding this year. Okay, and we don't have anywhere close to the playmakers the Vikings have, and that's why it's going to be really difficult for the Bears to somehow go into Minnesota and pull out this upset victory, even though, you know, we could really use it as a team. Okay, some type of morale boost after a pretty embarrassing loss on the road against the New York Giants, in which we only scored 12 points that entire game, got gashed on the ground by Saquon Barkley, by Daniel Jones as well on the play-action bootleg. So it's been a rough week, guys, for Bears fans, for the Bears team as a whole, and they could really use like a pick-me-up bounce-back win like this, in which, you know, obviously the Bears are not expected to win this game. Okay, nobody will think the Bears can win this game, but it is the NFL. Anything is possible. Obviously, it's any given Sunday, and if the Bears can generate any sort of a passing attack in this game and find a way to contain the plethora of weapons the Vikings have, then maybe they might have a chance to win this game. But it is going to be really difficult. Okay, but let's talk about the Vikings offense first, give you guys some stats about their offense. So they rank number 15 in yards per game. They're the number 17 scoring offense in points per game. They rank number 13 in passing offense and number 22 in rushing offense. And obviously they have a new play caller this year, Kevin O'Connell, coming over from the Los Angeles Rams. He's their new head coach this year as well, and he's obviously bringing over many of the same concepts that Sean McVay runs over there in Los Angeles. So he's a bright young offensive mind, a stark difference from the last head coach they had, Mike Zimmer, an older defensive guy. But, you know, so far, even though he is an offensive minded head coach, the Vikings offense has not looked like amazing up to this point. Okay, it's been a pretty mediocre average offense, but obviously compared to the Bears offense, like it's on a totally different level. Okay, they're actually a capable NFL offense, but they're just not producing like the top elite teams in the league so far. But anything is possible in the future with how much talent they have at the playmaker position. So obviously Justin Jefferson is the main guy to watch out for in this matchup, because he's one of the best receivers in the entire NFL, if not the best at this point in time. Okay, he can do it all. He's a great route runner. He can separate pretty well. He's a big play machine. He's got the top end speed. He can obviously make aggressive catches going down the field, beat any type of coverages. So Justin Jefferson, man, he's continuing his dominance he's shown throughout the last couple of years of his career. Okay, he already has 393 receiving yards on 28 receptions. So the Bears are obviously going to have a plan to stop Justin Jefferson. Otherwise, we'll get torched going down the field basically the entire game. They also have very reliable veteran depth behind Justin Jefferson as well. Okay, it's not only a one-man show like the Bears are right now. Okay, they have Adam Thielen, who's 32 years old, but still a reliable number 2 option in this league. Fantastic route runner, can separate pretty well. He can get open. He can make a big catch for you on third down. So that's obviously another guy the Bears have to have a plan for. And obviously they have KJ Osborne as their number 3 receiver, who, although is a number 3, he could be a number 2, you know, on some of the worst receiving cores around the NFL, because obviously the Vikings are so stacked at the top with both Jefferson and Thielen. So the top 3 receivers they have are pretty dang talented. Okay, that's a plethora of weapons for Kirk Cousins to have at his disposal. And talking about Kirk Cousins, he's been pretty up and down so far this year. He's had some really good throws. He's had some really bad throws, and that's been the story of Kirk Cousins' entire NFL career. Okay, he's obviously not like a top-end elite top 5 quarterback in this league that can win you games on his own, but when you surround him with all the weapons that the Vikings have done, he can win you some games, and he can run a pretty capable offense in this league like he's done so far this year. Okay, he has 1,031 passing yards, 6 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions though. Okay, he's turned the ball over a decent amount so far this year. Okay, there have been some pretty badly placed balls I've seen him throw up to this point this year, but obviously there's been some really good ones too. So it remains to be seen what version of Kirk Cousins we'll get in this game. But if we get the good one, you know, viewing this from the Vikings side, you know, that's not going to be good for the Bears defense, because with all the weapons around him, he could definitely do some damage. And obviously their run game, talking about that lastly, it's not been as dominant as it has been in years prior. Dalvin Cook only has 279 rushing yards and a touchdown, but they did go off against some of the worst run defenses. Okay, so against the Lions, for example, Dalvin Cook did have 96 rushing yards and a touchdown. Against the Packers, who I think the Packers actually are regarded as a pretty decent run defense, he had 90 yards against them. So even though the running game has not been their main focus up to this point, they can still probably run the football against a pretty bad Bears running defense. Talking about the Vikings defense, and they rank number 27 in yards allowed per game, number 12 in points allowed per game. They're the number 26 pass defense and number 23 run defense. And obviously they have Ed Donatel as their defensive coordinator. Okay, the guy that used to be our safeties secondary coach back in 2018, and before that too, under Vic Fangio. Okay, he helped mold guys like Eddie Jackson, like Kyle Fuller, helped the Bears have that fearsome defense in 2018. So he's much appreciated, but he is the enemy for this game. Okay, and he has obviously a 3-4 defense that he runs, base defense that is kind of a bend but not break style of defense, because obviously you can see here they allow a lot of yards, okay, both through the air and on the ground, but in the red zone they have held firm. Okay, they only rank number 12 in points allowed per game because they have been so good in the red zone, and that could be an area of concern for the Bears because the Bears have not been good in the red zone up to this point this year. Talking about their pass rush is probably the best part of their defense. They got a squad there, okay? They got a duo in both Zadarius Smith coming over from the Green Bay Packers and Danielle Hunter, okay? He's done it for a long time with the Minnesota Vikings, okay? Z Smith has 3 sacks, Danielle Hunter has 1 sack, and they're getting a lot of pressure from the interior as well from Dalvin Tomlinson, who's going to be going up against Sam Mustipher in this game most likely, which is such a big mismatch, okay, in favor of the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, Dalvin Tomlinson already has 10 pressures so far this year. He could probably double that in this game with how bad our interior has been, unfortunately. So rushing the passer, definitely an area of strength so far for the Vikings, but their secondary, not so much. Okay, at least up to this point this year, they've allowed a lot of yards through the air. They have not been the most dominant in coverage. Okay, they lost Lewis Sine, safety, I believe for the year due to a pretty severe leg injury, so that sucks. Prayers up to him. They also lost Andrew Booth, which I think Andrew Booth might be coming back for this game. He's limited right now in practice, so we'll see if he plays. But obviously their top 2 corners, Patrick Peterson and Cameron Dantzler. Patrick Peterson is getting up there in age. He might have lost a step. Still pretty good in zone, pretty instinctual, pretty smart cornerback, obviously, but not as fast as he used to be. And Dantzler, he's up and down. He's been okay, but again, the stats on this Viking secondary have been nothing to write home about. Their best player maybe still is Harrison Smith. Okay, he's also getting pretty old, but he's a hard-hitting guy that has obviously had good games against the Bears in the past. So we'll see what the secondary can do against the ragtag group of Bears receivers, but it's on paper it's not a very dominant secondary up to this point, and they might be the weakness on this Vikings defense. Talking about the Chicago Bears offense next, they rank number 31 in yards per game, number 31 in points per game. They're the number 32 passing offense, obviously, and the number 3 rushing offense. And it's one of the worst offenses on paper. Like, what else can I say? We have not been able to score points. We cannot move the ball through the air. We can only move the ball through the ground, and when we can't do that, like last week, okay, the Bears were not very efficient in moving the ball through the ground. That's why they only scored 12 points. Okay, so it is imperative for this Bears offense to be able to run the football. Okay, Khalil Herbert is off to a very good start so far this year. He has 317 rushing yards. Montgomery is probably not going to play in this game due to an injury, so that sucks. But we have Treston Ebner, the rookie behind him, who's not been as efficient. He's not been as good of a runner, in terms of contact balance as Herbert. So hopefully Herbert does get the majority of the carries in this game, and he probably will. But the Bears offense has to find a way to generate some type of a passing attack, because we saw last weekend teams are going to stack the box and make sure we're not able to run the football. Okay, that's what the Giants did last weekend, and we still cannot really generate much of a consistent passing attack, partly because the offensive line is putrid right now in pass protection. The Bears offensive line, as good as it's been in run blocking, it's one of the worst in the entire NFL in pass protection. Justin Fields is just not simply getting enough time to throw the football, and obviously him being a young quarterback, he's also sometimes holding onto the ball a little bit too long, but also our receivers are ranking among the bottom in the NFL in separation generated per game. So it's like all around such a chaotic mess on the Bears passing offense, and that's why Luke Getsy has chosen not to pass the ball this year, but we'll see if they can generate anything against a pretty shaky Vikings secondary. Then lastly, talking about the Bears defense, they rank number 11 in points allowed per game, number 21 in yards allowed per game. They're the number 4 pass defense and number 32 run defense, and obviously you can see here by the stats, we have a historically bad run defense, okay? Not just one of the worst in the NFL, but one of the worst of all time, okay? In Bears history, through 4 games this year, every single team has been able to gash us on the ground. We have allowed 733 rushing yards so far this year, which is unacceptable, okay? Every single opposing team on tape, they're seeing our team not being able to stop quarterback keepers, jet sweeps, outside runs, inside runs. Like, we cannot stop anything on the ground. So until we can stop that, teams will be attacking us on the ground the entire year pretty consistently. So hopefully we can tighten up that running defense somehow as the year progresses. I do want to talk about the Bears turnover forcing ability though on defense, because that's been the really strength of this defense so far, the ability to pounce on the ball and get turnovers. The Bears already have 7 on the year. Eddie Jackson, free safety, has 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions. He also has 1 forced fumble, which unfortunately was not recovered. But regardless, Eddie Jackson's having a very strong bounce back year. His coverage skills, his ball hawking ability, his tackling too has improved. Like, everything is on a totally different level this year with Eddie Jackson. So he could be a guy that Kirk Cousins has to watch out for deep in the secondary. But also, I do want to talk about Jalen Johnson, guys, to finish off this defensive overview, because if we don't have Jalen Johnson in this game, number 1 cornerback, who currently has not played in practice so far, okay, on Wednesday when I'm recording this, I don't see how the Bears even have a chance in this game, okay? I could be wrong, obviously, because anything is possible in the NFL, but Jalen Johnson is the only elite cornerback right now that we have on the team. Kindle Vildor has been playing a lot better, but he's still not elite, obviously, and Kyler Gordon is having a lot of rookie struggles. So if the Bears want to have any chance of winning this game, pulling off the upset, they need Jalen Johnson to play in this game. With that being said, let me talk about my 3 keys to Bears victory. How can the Chicago Bears win this game on the road, okay, steal this game? And key number 1 is going to be to get Khalil Herbert off to a great start. Again, until I see any facet of the Bears passing attack be successful, I got to stick with the run game, okay? The only thing we do well is run the football, so we'll have to run the ball effectively in this game if we want to have a chance to win the game. Now, obviously, the Vikings don't have a great run defense. Now, the Giants didn't have a good run defense either, but we still cannot run the ball against them because they stacked the box and had everybody crowded at the line of scrimmage. So Justin Fields will have to make some throws in this game to get a little bit of space there at the line of scrimmage. But if the Bears do want to score in this game, it's going to have to go through the ground, because that's the only thing I've seen be successful for the Chicago Bears offense. So hopefully Herbert gets off to a good start and we keep that going throughout the entire game to play the game to our strengths, not to the Viking strengths. Key number 2 then is going to be to make Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne beat you in this game, and obviously not Justin Jefferson. Bracket Justin Jefferson, double him up, cloud his side of the field, do whatever you have to do, Alan Williams, to ensure that Justin Jefferson is not the guy that beats us in this game, because I saw the game plan the Packers had for week 1. It was not a good game plan. Justin Jefferson completely destroyed them to the tune of almost 200 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. If that happens to the Bears, I can assure you we are not winning this game. Now, this is much easier said than done. Like, I can say, oh, just let the other guys beat you, but it's not that easy, okay? Alan Williams is going to have some serious conversations with the safeties, with the other defensive backs, and formulating a game plan to ensure that this guy is not the one that beats us. But hopefully we can somehow do that. Then finally, key number 3 is going to be to force turnovers throughout this game, okay? The only way, honestly, in which I can see the Bears scoring enough points to beat the Vikings offense at this stage of the season is to force multiple turnovers, okay? We're going to need a Kirk Cousins 2018 November game in which he threw like a pick 6 to Eddie Jackson. I think he threw another interception as well. I was at that game, by the way. One of the most fun Bears games, one of the most fun sporting events I've been to in my entire life. We're going to need a repeat performance from Eddie Jackson and the Bears secondary if we want to win this game, because I don't trust our offense right now. Like, I hate to be pessimistic, but like right now I have not seen the offense be able to function at an NFL level. So if we can't do that, we're going to need our defense to put the team on their back, and hopefully we can do that in this game to pull off the upset. And then finally, let's get to my prediction for this game. Who do I have win this matchup? And I have the Chicago Bears going to Minnesota and losing against the Vikings by a score of 24-14. Now, obviously, I hope I'm wrong big time on this prediction, okay? I hate to pick the Bears to lose games, but I just cannot keep on picking the Bears to win, because I would look stupid if I kept on doing that with how bad our offense is performing right now. Now, obviously, it is the NFL. Anything is possible any given Sunday, but obviously the Vikings have more talent on paper. Like, being unbiased as a Bears fan, you have to admit that, okay, they're going forward and we're rebuilding. So obviously that is going to be the case. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Bears offense going up against a Vikings pass rush that has Danielle Hunter, Zadarius Smith on it, a Vikings offense that has Dalvin Cook that also has so many weapons on the field. Like, it's going to be a tough matchup. And if the Bears are to win, it's going to be probably through the defense and through turnovers forced by our defense. But unfortunately, I will be picking us to lose in this game. As for my offense MVP of this game, Khalil Herbert. Okay, who else can I pick? We only run the ball, so have to pick the running back. As for defense MVP, I'm going to pick Jaquan Brisker, okay? I think that Jaquan Brisker actually gets a pick in this game, his first in the NFL. I was hoping that would happen last weekend against a pretty average at best quarterback in Daniel Jones, who didn't have any weapons, but they didn't even throw the ball last week because they ran it the entire game with how bad our run defense was. But in this game, I think he actually does get a pick on Kirk Cousins to start out his NFL career with. But that is the end of the video, guys. Leave your comments down below. What do you guys think about this game? Do you guys think the Bears have a chance to win? I hate to pick the Bears to lose games like I'm doing in this video, but they have drawn out the optimism out of this pretty optimistic fan. And until I see anything to renew that optimism, especially with the offense, I gotta pick us to lose, unfortunately. But hopefully I'm wrong. Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, bear down.